Version Conversations. This is Cameron, and this week I wanted to take a look at Big Convoy from Beast Wars Neo. The reason I wanted to look at this figure is because there are some new versions coming out. There's Big Blue Convoy, and then the anime accurate matching kind of this version of the character paint job Big Convoy coming out next year. The version I have is the Sono King Korean version based off the original toy that came out in Japan. So the Beast Wars Neo cartoon came out in 1999. It was a sequel to Beast Wars 2, which was a sequel to the American Beast Wars show. So this toy, as this character, I don't believe ever came out in the States. But I'm a huge fan of Beast Wars. I picked this up probably 5 years or so ago. At the time, I think it went for between 30 and 50 bucks as an ultra class figure when I bought it from Korea, and I'm super happy with it. So getting into it, Big Convoy in his alt mode, his beast mode, he turns into a really nice looking woolly mammoth. One thing that the anime version will change that I really like on the toy version is you do get this kind of gradient paint job. You get the darker fur on top and a lighter fur kind of where his belly fur and then his legs are. The other details, you know, the toes are picked out in paint. I think the anime version will actually have a different paint job on the feet, so you can kind of see the foot skin versus the leg fur, which I think will look really nice. And then you get the eyes picked out in paint, and that's kind of all it for the paint work. The tusks are actually plastic related to a play feature that I'll show in a little bit. But yeah, as a beast mode, it's, you know, big and chunky, and I'm really happy with it. It doesn't articulate, you know, in the legs or anything. It's all a shell formed around the robot, which we'll get into later. But it does, what they did do is pack in a lot of play features with this toy. So what you've got up front, articulation-wise, in the back you just have his tail, but up front, these tusks can actually articulate when you waggle his ears. The ears hinge, but then behind them there's a slot allowing you to push the ear back, and that lets you move these tusks up and down, which is, you know, kind of a fun little thing to do. And then the trunk itself, it's been molded, if you can see, there we go. It's got these ridges carved into it, not carved, but molded into it. And then it's got a thick band of plastic going down the center, and he's got a tab up at the top of the head that you can move, and it will move his trunk up and down by contracting that thick piece of plastic, and those ridges allow for the trunk to collapse up. I was actually a little worried about this. I've had it for a while now. I wondered if the plasticizer might start leaching out or react in any way to atmosphere or sunlight or anything, but it's still very pliable. It looks really good. So yeah, as an alt mode, I'm super happy. All right, and then his last bit of play pattern from his alt mode before transforming him is going to be his battle mode. And this is something that I believe all the larger Beast Wars Neo figures had, and I think it stemmed from the original Beast Wars line, where you could convert them into these kind of battle platforms. And for Big Convoy, it's actually pretty straightforward because he doesn't articulate a ton as a mammoth. You're going to take these side panels, and you can pop them out at the base, and they kind of extend out like this, and then you turn it so that it's facing you. Same thing on the other side, pop it out all the way, and then turn it. There we go. This leg's kind of in the way. Oop. There we go. So then you get these platforms, weapons platforms sticking out from the sides, and then you're going to come in and you're going to split his head a little bit just so you can kind of lift his head back off, separate his butt plate. There we go. And then this whole top assembly is actually a big old gun. And you can flip these top panels around to hopefully get them out of the way, and take the gun, and it articulates on a hinge right here. Take it, turn the whole thing around. Oh, mine disconnected. Sometimes it's easier, actually it's probably always easier just to disconnect and then reconnect this tab to this port here. Get it back in there. And I think that's basically it. Yep. So now you have a kind of exploded woolly mammoth with double-barreled cannon coming out of his forehead, and then these two missile launchers coming out of his sides. And everything works pretty well as long as you get the clearance to avoid the missiles hitting his legs. They have buttons on his side right here that you can just kind of shoot him out. Pretty straightforward. Same thing on this side. Press that button. Let's see if it doesn't hit his tusk this time. Oh, now it's going to hit my finger. There we go. And then on his forearm or forehead double-barreled cannon, he has a little knob you can twist here to shoot things out. This one's a little tough to get on camera, but you can see the knob there. And if we twist, oh, hey, that went well. That actually worked perfectly. Let's see, one more. That was fine. So yeah, so he's got 4 missiles. 2 of these anchor shaped ones that come out of his sides, and they didn't go flying either. Nice. 2 of these kind of more traditional missile looking ones that come out of his forehead. But yeah, that's it for his battle mode, and then next thing is to get them all transformed. Alright, and to get started with Big Convoy, the first thing we do, and I think this transformation is kind of infamous for being a little difficult and fiddly, but I've never really had any problems getting him into bot mode or robot mode. But to start out, you take his gun, take it off the top, and just set that to the side, so you're left with kind of this opening. And then you can come in, and his mammoth front legs are connected to his head through a tab, and it's pretty easy to just come in here, pull it apart, and separate it. There we go. His back legs are already separated from the gun, so you can take the front legs and you can fold them down, swing them out, and it just kind of explodes downward, which is fine. That's the way you want it. And we'll get them down and out of the way. And we can go ahead and build his legs and feet up, keeping his missiles out to the side as missile launchers. You can take the bar that connects his mammoth leg to his robot leg, and you want to accordion it back up. And you'll see here, this kind of cylinder has a little divot for it in his robot leg. And in addition to that, let's see if we can get a good shot of it. There we go. There's a slot right here and a tab right here. So as we press, we just make sure that tab goes in the slot, and then the cylinder goes into the robot leg, and that's the leg pretty much done. You can take his foot, put his heel out and down, same with his toes, and then we do the same thing on the other side. Compress this up, take the heel out, make sure your tab, there we go, make sure the tab sits inside. Come on. There we go. And get the foot down. And those are his legs pretty much done. You can take the mammoth feet and put them behind him so that they kind of sit like, almost like scabbards really. Take the waist, spin it 180 so that his chest and his waist match up. And then you can take his hands, they're attached to his robot back. There's a peg that goes into his hand socket. Take those out and put them out of the way. And then you can come in and his mammoth head, his jaw splits, and the head basically rotates down into the side to give him these missile launching shoulder pauldrons. And then you come in here and you want to take his shoulder assembly and lift that up out of the way, and it frees a tab on his top of his shoulder that lets you rotate his arm out of the way. And do the same thing on the other side, lift that up, flip it out of the way, and then you basically have Ultra Mammoth. And the last thing to do, or not Ultra Mammoth, Big Convoy. The last thing you want to do is take his chest and compress it down. That reveals his head. Take his horns, pull them out of his head, and then we can get everything all lined up. Oh, I flipped the shoulder launchers up toward us so he can shoot forward. And that is Big Convoy in his robot mode. Let me scoot him back a little bit. There we go, he's got those big shoulders. Alright, so now that we've got him all transformed into robot mode, we can go over his articulation and then some of his play patterns, the ones that you can only see in robot mode. So starting Big Convoy off, he does have a good head tilt. You can get kind of that quizzical side look, you can look side to side, all that good stuff. The horns are articulated, I don't know if that counts as articulation. The arms themselves, once you've got them assembled in robot mode, he does have a ball joint in the shoulder, which gives 360 rotation as well as inward and outward motion. You can use kind of that transformation hinge if you want to do something with it. On my side, this clear, red clear plastic part is a little loose. He does have another ball socket joint in the bicep that can go in and out as well as up and down for transformation. He does have kind of a 90-degree curl. With kind of cleverly using that ball socket joint in the bicep, you can kind of give it a little more curl. The wrists go in up and down a little bit. There is no turn or anything. The waist, as part of the transformation, he does have waist swivel. The legs can go pretty far out, even with the mammoth kibble hanging on the side. He does, well, the mammoth kibble is actually pretty good about getting out of the way, so you can get him to do like full Van Damme. You can go back down. You can do a forward kick, full backward kick. There is a thigh swivel here. There's a double hinged knee joint as part of his transformation again that you can use for articulation. And then nothing kind of below the shin, nothing at the shin. And then on the foot, the toes have really good articulation along with the heels. Sometimes the mammoth kibble gets in the way of full articulation on the toes, but a lot of the time I think it just helps him pose better. So yeah, he is a really powerful looking robot. I know there's an anime accurate version coming out, but the toy accurate version still looks terrific to me. I love the way he homages Optimus Prime colors, but definitely makes things his own. The horns are definitely a great touch. I love these shoulder pads that are rocket launchers. That looks really, really terrific. He's big, obviously. I can barely get him in frame with the way my camera is working. I love the asymmetry on the arms. Like, this seems like this is his normal arm, and then this might have been, he got battle damaged, he had to lose an arm, and this is the replacement he got with it. I love the way they did all that silver color on that red plastic, that clear red plastic. He just looks terrific. Like I said, there are a couple other versions of the mold. We can get into that later. For right now, let's go through kind of some of the features he have as the robot form here. So the big one, his missiles all still work. You can stick in, right here, and you can kind of see he's got that. Let's fire it. There we go. He's got leg rocket launchers. It looks like he's got a little molded detail, if we get this hip kibble out of the way, for some mini guns kind of in his hips, which is funny. The arms, both forearm guards, you can fold out a piece that turns into kind of a tonfa that he has to whack idiots with. I like that on both of them. Gives him some additional posability. The play pattern he had in his shoulders to make the tusk wiggle, that's still there. And if we get his arm out of the way and I get it angled right, you can actually see the way the assembly works now. Kind of that pulls down right there. The ball joints do tend to have things pop off, but they're very easy to pop right back on. Oop, come on. As soon as I say that, right, it stops working with me. There we go. Good. There we go. So then the last two big play pattern features, and the ones that I like a lot, and I think he was the first one to do it, is for Big Convoy, you do have a chest that can open up, and inside there is this beautifully done matrix, Autobot matrix of leadership. Like, that looks terrific. And the way it's designed, if we close this up, he's got really nice detailing on the chest. Again, things are picked out in silver paint. It's designed so that he can hold this sucker, which I think this was, the first toy that could do it. Have a matrix and hold the matrix, and get that posed however you want it. Bring it maybe up a little bit. There we go. Hold it out in front of him like that. That's pretty heroic. Yeah, so like this, he's got a ton of stuff he can do. Put this back. And then the last thing is his big old cannon that he had when he was in battle mode. And this turns into a gun that he can use. So I think there's an official configuration. The way I do it is you got to flip it upside down. These panels move up kind of to cover things up. I like to leave it like this. Move them up kind of as a protective guard for his hand. And then underneath, you can flip out this cover and then flip out a hand guard, and he can wield this thing as like a shoulder-mounted rocket cannon. And like that, you know, that's where he gets the name Big Convoy from. And he's sturdy enough that he can hold it just fine, and he looks great doing it. So yeah, this is a fantastic toy. Originally Ultra Class, I don't know what the original price it went for was. I think I paid between $30 and $50 for it in 2012. Fantastic yet, I'm really happy with it. Looking at it online nowadays, this version of the figure goes for about 80 bucks, which is comparable for the new versions coming out. This mold actually has been used a lot more than I originally thought it was. Doing a little research, there was a black Big Convoy that came out, I think, in 1999 or 2000. And I think that might have been like a gold lucky draw figure release, because trying to find that thing online nowadays, it's like 300 bucks. So I imagine that's got to be pretty rare. There's a Nemesis Big Convoy or Nemesis Prime version, which I think is the US version. That's the version of the mold that saw mass US release at Targets. And I'll put pictures of these all up over here. But that one, it looks terrific. It's a black woolly mammoth. It's got like blood spots, obviously, on the end of its tusks. I think besides this paint deco, that's my second favorite paint deco. And that one doesn't seem to go for a ton either. That's like 85 bucks, so it's comparable. You could get this one or pay a little more or about the same to get the Nemesis version. Then there's the Ultra Mammoth version, which came out in 2012 as part of Transformers Collectors Club. That one looks really good. It's Ultra Mammoth. I think I might have called this guy Ultra Mammoth a couple times just because it has Mammoth in the name. But that's Ultra Magnus as a beast mode. And so you get like a blue to white gradient, a lot of red accents. I like that one a lot too. That one, because it was a Collector's Club figure, it's more expensive. That one's closer to $200 that I found online. And then you have the two new versions coming out. One is a blue Big Convoy, which seems to be a reissue of another Lucky Draw item, but that one's going for 90 bucks. I don't like that one as much. The solid blue doesn't really do much for me. But then the one that matches this one, the anime colors Big Convoy, that one, if I didn't have this figure, it's going for $85. So if I had to choose between this one, Nemesis, or the anime colors, I think I prefer the anime one if I didn't have this one. Having this one in hand, I don't need to get the mold again. I'm pretty happy with this guy. What the anime color one does make me excited for, and what Beast Wars Masterpiece Dinobot makes me excited for, is I think that if Big Convoy got a Beast Wars figure and they did it in the anime colors of Beast Wars Masterpiece figure, and it had like some way to collapse these panels down closer in robot mode, maybe fold in or some collapsing form for the kibble, I think that one just looks so terrific. And Dinobot makes me believe that Hasbro Engineering is, they're magicians over there. They can kind of do whatever they want. Would it be a $300, $350 figure? Sure. But I would be perfectly happy paying that for a really big, really articulated, really well magic transforming Big Convoy. But yeah, so the new figure has kind of wanted me to geek out about this old favorite of mine, and I'm glad you joined me for it. Next week, I'm not sure what I'll be doing, but I'll see you around. Thanks for watching.